I want to thank you for being here tonight and for helping us to recognize these students. In addition, this event would not be possible without our sponsors. Would those who have sponsored this evening's program please stand? Thank you. You will see the sponsors' names on the back of your program. So please, if you see them, thank them, because it's a wonderful thing that they're doing this evening. And last but not least, I would like to welcome all the teachers and CMCSS people who were responsible for this banquet. Would you stand and be recognized, please? Thank you for your hard work and dedication. At this time, please stand for the presentations of the colors by the Kenwood High School JROTC under the direction of First Sergeant Mitchell Ketchens. After that, please remain standing for the national anthem.
Say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please be seated. Before they finish sitting down, let's say thank you to Victoria Batson and Sarah Ellis for Now, would Mr. Harris, our Director of Schools, please come forward to give us a little bit of history about the Academic Awards Banquet.
Thank you, Terry. I know you all know why you're here tonight. This is truly the culmination of your academic achievement in the school system. And while you know your journey in arriving here tonight, you may not know a few facts about this event. First of all, this academic recognition program began quite a long time ago, before many of you were born, or any of you were born that are being recognized tonight. For 23 years, the Academic Awards Banquet has been held, and is still the only one of its kind in Tennessee where we all come together as a school district to recognize academic excellence. The purpose, of course, is to honor students in the highest manner for academic excellence, in the same way students are honored for other extracurricular excellence. These criteria have remained the same for high standards for 23 years. Students must have achieved a 93 grade point average for each of the past 2 semesters, with no lower than an 85 in any one subject. And this event has always been fully sponsored by the community and special sponsors, and you've already had those pointed out to you in the program. Please thank them for their sponsorship of this wonderful program. To date, more than 9,685 CMCSS students awards have been given, and we have about 885 students receiving this honor for 3 consecutive years. To all of you who are honored tonight, this is a special evening for you. You join a unique group of students who work diligently to learn and grow academically. We honor you and those who have supported you to receive this honor.
Would the First Baptist ministerial staff please say a prayer for us?
Good evening. My name is Bill Graham. I'm the Associate Pastor for Missions, and it's my privilege to welcome you to our facility. We are grateful that we can host this for the 2nd year in a row. We're happy that we can be a part of this awards banquet, and salute you and welcome those distinguished guests sitting at the head table. We're also grateful for the parents and the guidance that you've given to your children, and now you see the ultimate reward in the awards that they'll be receiving tonight. A few little facilities information. Both bathrooms are on this side, either door. Go to the hallway and you'll find the sign. So in case you've not been in this facility before. Most important is the presence of Holy God. Let's recognize Him and give Him thanks. Let's pray. Father, we thank you for this day and its beauty and its significance. We give you thanks for the air that we breathe, the food that we eat, the water that we drink that sustains us. We thank you that we can come tonight and celebrate the excellence of this system, of these parents, and most important, these students, as they are recognized for the efforts that they've put in to their education. We thank you, Lord, that we can gather here, share a meal, fellowship around these tables, and enjoy the company and hear the wonderful message of our guest speaker that will challenge us and encourage us. So, Lord, we thank you in advance for what you're going to do to us and through us as a part of this event this evening, in whose name we pray, amen. Enjoy your meal.
And just before you start to eat, there's one more group that I should introduce, and that is the Educational Foundation Board. Would those on the board please stand? These people work throughout the year, different fundraising events and different activities to put together a program to help support the school system and the people within the school. Please say thank you to them. So now please enjoy your meal, and we're going to be entertained by Mr. Brandon Hester at the piano. He is a teacher at West Creek Middle School. Thank you.
Parents that are also here with them tonight. And we're going to get to enjoy a wonderful speech by, as I said before, someone that needs no introduction. But since he is a personal friend of mine, I want to tell you a little bit about Tim Hall, who is our speaker tonight. As all of you know, Tim Hall is the 9th president of Austin Peay State University here in Clarksville. He received his education in the state of Texas. We won't hold that against him, you know. That's right. He went to the University of Houston, Rice University, and received his Doctor of Jurisprudence from the University of Texas, the other UT. As he likes to say, the bigger one. I think it's the smaller one, but it's the other one. But anyway, he came here to Tennessee, to Austin Peay State University, and he has really turned this university around. I think we can all be proud of what he has done for our university here in our community. He has brought it to standards that we have never achieved before, and we owe him a great debt of gratitude for what he has done. Austin Peay State University, under his leadership, has become the fastest growing state university in the entire state, and that surpasses even the University of Tennessee. He has achieved so much while he is here, but the best thing about him being here tonight is that Tim Hall values education. He is here tonight to talk to the young people, and I have to tell you, parents out there, he may be scoping out some of you to come to Austin Peay State University, so be careful about that. But he's excited to be able to talk to you because the Tim Hall I know is someone who truly loves to speak about the value and the importance of education. He is here to hopefully encourage all of you to continue on your educational path, and I think we can all look forward to the wonderful talk that he's going to give to us tonight. So without any further ado, let's welcome Tim Hall, the president of Austin Peay State University.
Mayor, thank you very much for those kind words. I'm going to take my watch off now because they've told me how long to be. I've watched enough preachers to know that after I put it down, I'm not supposed to pay any more attention to it. So welcome. It's great to see you all tonight. Hold on to this. It's great to see you tonight, and congratulations especially to our honorees on this occasion. I'm now almost 40 years past this same point in my life, and I promise you, you don't forget these kinds of occasions. You don't forget the experiences that you have in high school. If anything, as you grow older, you remember them more and more. I forget things that happened last year, but I remember very vividly what happened at this point in my life. Now that you're almost through with your high school career, I ought to let you in on a secret, and that is that education, especially high school and elementary education, is not without its humor. Teachers actually keep track of funny things that students say on exams and interesting answers that they give. If you don't believe me, I'll just give you a couple of examples. If you happen to have written this answer down, I suggest you keep quiet about it. Question on a test, for example, what is the fibula? Answer, a small lie. You covered that in biology, didn't you? Question, what does the word benign mean? And the answer given by one student was, benign is what you will be after you be 8. Question, explain one of the processes by which water can be made safe to drink. Water made safe to drink. Answer, flirtation makes water safe to drink because it removes large pollutants like grit, sand, dead sheep, and canoeists. And just a general essay response about Egypt and history. The essay wrote very knowledgeably, the inhabitants of Egypt were called mummies. They lived in the Sahara Desert and traveled by Camelot. The climate of the Sahara was such that the inhabitants had to live elsewhere, so certain areas of the desert are cultivated by irritation. The Egyptians built the pyramids in the shape of a large triangular cube. I'm sure none of you gave those kinds of answers on your exams or your essays. Actually, what we're here tonight to do, and one of the things that makes it such a pleasure for your parents to be here and for school officials and elected officials and other leaders in Clarksville and Montgomery County, one of the pleasures of being here is to imagine what's going to happen with you. We know that in a crowd such as this of talented students who have achieved a great deal during their high school career, we know that many of you will go on and you will do even more remarkable things. The problem is we sometimes can't even recognize it. We don't know who you will grow to be. Leonard Bernstein was a famous 20th century music composer. If you've ever heard West Side Story, that was his composition. And one day his father, after Bernstein had become the most famous composer in America, one day his father was chastised for not having understood how precocious and how brilliant he was as a young man. And his father said, "How was I supposed to know that he was going to grow up to be Leonard Bernstein?" And that's the way we feel about many of you. How are we to know what you're going to grow up to be? But we know that in any audience of this size, some of you will do things that we will remark upon with wonder in future years. Some of you will do something like Mark Zuckerberg, who 10 years ago was a college student. And while he was in college with some of his buddies, he wrote an interesting program to try to connect with them and with other people. And you'll know the name of that program is Facebook. That was 10 years ago for Mark Zuckerberg. I just discovered a few years ago that a younger classmate of mine, I graduated in Texas City High School in 1974. In 1975, a young man graduated from my high school. I never knew him while I was in high school because he was a fairly quiet guy. But now a lot of people know him because he's the director of movies such as Blindside or The Alamo. And he was there in all those classes, and I'm sure he did well. He went on and went to law school, but today he does something that people remark about. When I was in Mississippi, I taught for a while at the University of Mississippi Law School. One of the graduates of the University of Mississippi Law School is a fairly famous writer of fiction by the name of John Grisham. John Grisham. Grisham, when he was in law school, was not any great shakes as a law student. In fact, his first semester, he took an exam, and in law school, most exams are these 3-hour sorts of things where you write long essays that are designed to let you talk about how the law or legal principles might apply to a particular factual situation. And Grisham was not very well prepared for the exam, and the professor wrote and swears to this day that this is exactly what he wrote. At the end of the exam, he said, "You obviously don't know very much about this subject, but you've got a great talent for fiction." So we never know. We never know what you might become. But tonight, in just the few minutes that I'm allotted, I want to talk to you about what might be involved in the becoming of what you will be, what you ought to carry with you into this next part of your life as you go forward to a new challenge. And I want to say how pleased I am to know that many of you have already chosen to go to the university I have the privilege of serving as president of, Austin Peay. I'm very proud of that. And many of others of you will think about it later on when you decide the place you went is not exactly like the one you want. So we're very happy that you'll be coming, many of you, to Austin Peay next year. So let me just give you just a little bit of brief advice that's mostly based upon asking you to consider keeping on doing the things that brought you here to these lovely tables this evening. The first bit of advice I have for you is this: don't forget the work. Don't forget the work. In some ways, I'm sure I could characterize this gathering of students as the fellowship of late nights and early mornings, because that's normally what it takes to do what you've done by succeeding academically here. You've stayed up late writing papers and been up early studying for tests. What I want to ask you to do is not forget that work, because it will stand you in good stead and the need for it will never go away. There is no achievement that you can achieve that you will be proud of in later years that won't involve a similar measure of work, a similar measure of labor. There's nothing that you'll get for free, and it will require your work. And so I want to encourage you to keep on doing what you've been doing. When I was in high school, I learned the words that Longfellow wrote, and this was before Longfellow understood what women could become, so you'll forgive his chauvinism, but he wrote, "The heights which great men reached and kept were not attained by sudden flight, but they, while their companions slept, were toiling upwards in the night." That was true when Longfellow wrote it. It's still true today. That hard labor is the key to much success in life. It's not the only key, but it's one of the core requirements of success in almost any endeavor that you go through. There's an interesting book that was written a few years ago by a man named Malcolm Gladwell. The book was titled Outliers, and it was a book about what explains the accomplishments of people that we look to and we say, that's just a genius. That's somebody remarkable. That must be somebody so far above and beyond me that I would never have the chance of doing what that person has achieved. Gladwell studied all sorts of people, and eventually he articulated a rule, and his rule is this: it doesn't take genius, it takes precisely 10,000 hours. 10,000 hours. If you will put 10,000 hours into any endeavor, and you will focus on it, and you will give it your heart and soul, Gladwell suggests, you will become extraordinary. He goes through all sorts of examples. I'll just give you one. Did you know that before the Beatles became famous in England, before they were in England, they performed in Hamburg, Germany? We were just there, some of us from this community, for an economic development summit. In Hamburg, Germany, they played for 12 hours a day for several years, 12 hours a day, over and over and over again. And when they suddenly sprang on the stage in England, it wasn't as a result of some fluke or some sudden interest that people had in them. It was because they had honed what they were doing to a fine level of achievement before it was ever presented to the world that now knows them as remarkable musicians. He also points out that Bill Gates, you know that fellow, the guy who has billions of dollars because of Microsoft, that Bill Gates satisfied the $10,000 hour rule because when he was 13, through a strange circumstance, he got access to a high school computer, the kind of access that's very rare to have at the time when he received it. And because he had that access, he was able to put in hour and hour and hour and hour and achieve something quite remarkable in the world of computers. You can do exactly the same. You can start counting. You should add up how many hours you put in on some instrument that you've learned to play, how many hours you put in the study of a particular subject. Those hours matter. They are the only pathway to excellence, is hours and hours. So whatever you do as you go forward, I just want to remind you that you shouldn't stop working. That's a simplistic statement, but people will forget it, and you'll see some of those people once they get to college. They'll forget that it took work that got them there, and it will take work to help them to complete and to achieve the sorts of things that you've achieved tonight. That's my first suggestion to you. Don't forget the work. Second, don't forget to be learners. Don't forget to be learners. Now you say to me, oh, of course, we're going on to college after this, and I assume that every person in this room is going on to college. I absolutely disagree with any notion that too many people go to college. In the world that you're going into, a college education is an absolute must for virtually every opportunity that you will have. It doesn't mean that I'm an elitist. It doesn't mean that I'm a snob. It means that's the world that you're going to live in. So I'm assuming that you're going to college, and if you haven't thought about that, come talk to me after this is over, and I'll tell you about a good one to go to. But once you get to that college, I'm sure you already figure, well, I'm going to have to learn a lot of stuff there, and once I learn all of that stuff, then I'll be through and ready to go on with my career. That's actually not the case, and if nobody's told you that before, I'll be happy to be the very first one to say that college is the beginning of an education that continues on from this place, but it is not the end of an education. Ralph Waldo Emerson, famous American philosopher and writer, said the things taught in colleges and universities are not an education, but the means to an education. College and university will give you the tools that you need to keep learning for the rest of your life. And I promise you this, the future belongs to the learners. It belongs to the people who can adapt to new discoveries, to new knowledge, to new understanding. It doesn't belong to the people who just sit pat and figured that everything they learned in high school would be good enough to carry them all the way to the end of their life. The future belongs to the learners. So that means that even after you finish the next 4 years or 6 years or 8 years, even after you go to college and university and go on to some graduate program, even after that, you will continue to be a learner. And you need to remember that, or else you will not be equipped to survive and achieve in the future, because the future belongs to the learners. I won't make one plea to you, because I know some of you have already dabbled with this particular form of learning, and it's a form of learning that will not help you in later years. We'll call it bulimic learning. Bulimic learning. You know what bulimia is? It's a sickness in which a person gorges on food and then immediately throws it all up. There are students, there may be students in this room, I hope not, but there are students, and you'll certainly see them later on, who practice a kind of bulimic learning, which means that they never do a thing until the very last minute, and then they cram and work for several hours to be ready for a test or write a paper, and then as soon as they've done that, they promptly forget everything that they had learned in those few hours. That is not at all uncommon. It goes on every place and everywhere. All I want to suggest to you is this: it won't serve you well in the future. Because the future needs people who really learn. The future needs people who really understand. The future needs people who can really adapt. And anything that you learn just in a couple of hours and then promptly forget in a couple of hours is not going to help you into the future. So continue to be learners. Third thing, don't forget the feeling of connection that you probably had in high school. As I recall high school, those almost 40 years ago, it was an easy place to be connected with people, to be involved in all sorts of activity. I was in the band and I was in debate, and I, in my earlier years, ran some track, and I was in this club, and that probably goes for many of you, that you have been well connected and engaged in your high school careers. That's good. That's very good. You know why it's good? It's not just good because it adds to your resume. It's good because it's giving you something that not all classrooms can give you. Classrooms are about IQ. Classrooms are typically about what you can learn intellectually, what you can learn academically. But somebody needs to tell you, and I'm happy to be the one who does, that in future years that's only a part of what you need to be successful. What most people need to be successful, because they will constantly work with other people in all the avenues of their life, what they need to be successful is not IQ, but also EQ. Emotional intelligence, the ability to work with all kinds of people, to deal with them, to talk with them, to reason with them, to understand them, requires emotional intelligence. And that, interestingly, is what you are beginning to acquire in all those clubs that you are involved in. If you get involved and are seriously engaged in those clubs, you learn to work with people. Now, the secret of later success, excuse me, is this: you need to continue that. You need to keep it going once you get into college, because you'll have even more opportunities to learn to work with all sorts of different kinds of people on this or that project or this or that subject, and that will stand you in good stead as you go forward in the future. But here's the problem. There are some universities and colleges where it's difficult to come by, just because they're so large that it's kind of intimidating to try to get involved in this or that. I actually went to a university that had 40,000 students, and it was very difficult for me to get involved in almost anything, and so frankly I didn't. And I was the poorer for it. I was a loser for that. And so I want to encourage you, get involved, get connected once you get there. College and university is not just about the classroom. It's about all the things that happen around the classroom. And you'll be stronger. You'll be more successful in later years if you do so. Now, that's one of the reasons, I think, why Austin Peay has been the fastest growing university in this state since the year 2000, is because we're the right size for students to come and get engaged. So anybody who wants to be a part of something can do it relatively easy at our campus, and that helps in learning emotional intelligence as you go forward. And then I have one final suggestion to you. Don't forget the work. Don't forget to be learners. Don't forget to be engaged. And finally this, don't forget to say thank you for the people, to the people who helped bring you to this place. You understand that, right? Is that you are here tonight because some people looked after you. They took care of you. They paid attention to you. I don't know what it looked like in your life, but in my life it looked like a father who would wake up Monday mornings very early when I got up at 4:30 to write that last-minute essay that was due that day, and he would come to the door of my room and say something encouraging to me at about 5:30. Or about the teacher who just walked up to me, and she was pretty fresh out of college herself, and she handed me a book and said, "Here, you might like to read this." It was John Milton's Paradise Lost. I didn't read it then, but I did read it a couple of years later. And now I look back and I can see those people. I had a band director who had a furious temper, but he also had a heart and soul that loved music and loved excellence and loved beauty. And he tuned my heart and mind to those characteristics. There are some of those people in this room tonight for you, and so I would encourage you not to leave this place without saying thank you, and not to go far without coming back and saying repeatedly, thank you for what you did to bring me to this moment. We all look forward to seeing what you're going to become, and we congratulate you on what's brought you this far and wish you Godspeed in the future. Thank you very much.
That was wonderful, Tim. We really appreciate that, and we have something that we want to give to you because in addition to honoring all the students, we also want to honor you for giving us that fine presentation. So thank you very much.
Well, we are coming to the part that we really came here for tonight, and I don't mean the food. We're here to recognize these young people for their achievements. Before we start, could I have Mr. Harris and the school board members come up on stage, please? Our elected officials as well. And for all of the foundation board members, would you line up down here and receive the young people as they leave the stage, please? So I'm called now on Northwest High School presenter Joshua Hall to recognize their recipients.
The academic award recipients from Northwest High School are Connor Lawrence Bourne, Raven Camille Brown, Lisa Ann Cavanis, Della Margaret Coleman, Josiah Douglas Coleman, Stephen Daniel Edenfield, Abigail May Elmore, Daniel Allen Erickson, Amanda Christine Hamstra. Courtney Violet Hill. Laura Catherine Horton. Ashley Marie Mayer. Anthony Michael Reyes. Diana Alexandria Roberts Santiago. Cody Eugene Schwalm. Dominic Allen Shannon. And Samantha Lynn Vielma.
Next is Montgomery Central High School, Kim Walker.
We want to remind you to keep your applause until the very end so that every name is heard. And these are the award recipients for Montgomery Central High School. Jillian Grace Austin. Landry Elizabeth Austin. Lucas Parker Bearden. Danielle Marie Bergman. Lauren Nicole Bone. Miranda K. Downing. Tyra Jane Fairchild. Molly Ann Flake. Elena Michelle Grinstead. Ashley Nicole Johnson. Holly Renee Knight. Jacob Carl Kuchenbecker. Jackson Thomas Price. Samantha Noel Robinson. Lisa Danielle Rye. Matthew Dwayne Simon. Kristen Lee Simpson. Alan James Valancourt. Isaac C. Wilbur.
The Middle College at Austin Peay, Nicolette Zalewski. Did I get close? Sorry.
The recipients for Middle College at Austin Peay, we have Alexander Owen Barkalow, Kayla Hope Cook, Haley Amanda Earls, Robert Etchison Grigsby, Ajanine Tiana Hamilton, Daniel Wayne Hart, Andrew Zachary Scott, Haley Renee Scott, and Gabriel Jose Valerio.
Rossview High, Mr. Danny Chartman.
Christopher Ross Bagby. Elizabeth Perkins Bayshore. Eric Bryden Batista. Colin Patrick Benson. Caitlin Nicole Butler. Michelle Blake Colby. Jacob Morgan Curry. Blair Ann Drum. Matthew Merrill Fuller. Morgan Dawn Goddard. Tyler Matthew Guy. Scotty Glenn Hill. Daniel Alexander Johnson. Shelby Lane Johnson. Allison May Merrick. Thomas Jose Nelson. Kyle Matthew Patterson. Kaylee Christina Marie Poor. John Wilson Pope. Brandon Douglas Prentice. Kiana Nicole Reddit. Haley Mary Frances Register. Joseph Reed Shriver. Cassandra Joy Turpening. Jake Kyer Townsend. Aaron Michelle Weber. Kylie Marie White. And Daniel Patrick Zidell. So those are the third-year academic award recipients from Rossview High School.
We have Clarksville High with Angela Sackfield. I'm sorry, West Creek. I was just doing that to test you. This is Miss Jennifer Henderson.
The academic awards recipients from West Creek High School are Mary Catherine Baker, Clarence C.J. Board, Brianne Michaela Campos, Paul J. Young Chong, Matthew Joseph Pedro Cruz, Jasmine Marie Cunningham, Surianne Dennis, Desiree Renata Doobie, Rachel Nicole Gaudette, Danielle Shannon Harvey, Dale Jordan Hofling, Ji Yoon Wang, Brooke Moncherie Jackson, Krista Michelle LaRocca, Adriana Isabel Larson, Christopher Michael Lee. Destiny K. Levis. Christopher Arno Morgan. J. Rowley Pickett. Shay Marianne Simone Winston. And Austin Richard Wire. Please congratulate these outstanding students from West Creek High School.
And now, Clarksville High with Angela Sackfield.
The third year academic award recipients from Clarksville High School are Victoria Morgan Batson, Mariah Page Bean, Emily Lacey Bell, Rebecca Lee Coram, Alexis Lee Eldridge, Sarah Abbott Ellis, Justin Walter Gant, Katie Elizabeth Graham, Kaylin Brianne Jarrett, Jordan Ashley Jones, Hayden Nicholas Jordan, William Charles Chase Knott, Richard Lawrence Lavosky, Hannah Therese Lee, Yoon G. Lee, Brianna Ray Martin, Zachary James Nix, Christina Michelle O'Neill, Jessica Rose Ramey, Brianna Christine Reeves, Alexa Morgan Sager, Emily Ann Tomac, Geneva May Brennan Vizot, Rachel Lee Whittinghill, David Wayne Whitworth, I'm very proud to say these are our third year academic recipients from Clarksville High School.
We next have Northeast High with Patrick Digby.
The academic recipients for Northeast High School are Rachel Elena Anderson, Joseph Eugene Dallas, Luis Jimmy Del Castillo, Natalie Del Castillo, Timothy Ryan Goring, Skylar Daniel Gordon, Jeffrey Hamilton, Hannah Christine Letourneau, Catherine Michelle Mitchell, Alex Antoine Poitras, and a round of applause for these academic award recipients.
And now Kenwood High School, Christy Fordham.
The academic award recipients from Kenwood High School: Shelby Dorbiella, Devontae Jordan, Annika Jusino, Alicia Kingston, Lisa Mitchell, Yejin Park, Reba Pochask, Teresa Jones, Congratulations to Kenwood High School Academic Award recipients.
At this time, we'd like to present our high school principals with the Academic Hall of Fame plaques to display at their schools. Sorry. And it has all the recipients for your school listed. So if you would come forward, please, to receive the plaques. First is Northeast High School. Who's next? Northwest. I didn't hear you. Montgomery Central. Middle College. West Creek. Kenwood. Rossview. And Clarksville High. So let's give all recipients tonight a warm round of applause. You stay here. No, just need to hang around here. Don't go anywhere. As you may or may not be aware, this will be Mr. Harris's last academic awards banquet with us, at least as Director of Schools. Yeah. For many years, he's been supportive of the Academic Awards program, as well as an encourager, a cheerleader, and an active partner with the Education Foundation overall. He served as a working board member for the Foundation, providing insight and leadership to its members. Mr. Harris has encouraged and inspired the organization to help us broaden our scope and to work to improve student achievement through new adventures. He challenged us to reach for new options in teaching and learning and visualizing for students' needs. The Middle College is just one example of what the district has made a reality. Hiring and retaining quality teachers for our students certainly has been a cornerstone of the strategic direction that he has led. High expectations for all has been Mr. Harris's mantra throughout the tenure. We are very grateful to have had his support and want him to know that he will be greatly missed. So at this time, we would like to present you with a special award. Please come forward. This reads, "In the pursuit of excellence, Michael Harris, outstanding leadership, CMCSS and CMCEF, March the 9th, 2012. Thank you. Thank you. And if you'll turn around, there's one more thing. Rudy, would you like to speak?
You bet. Thank you, Mr. President. As the charter president of the Education Foundation and a board member ever since for the 26 years of our existence, I've had the great opportunity to work with the various directors of schools, and I know Mayor McMillan, you said we'd had 9 over the years, and certainly I've had the pleasure to work with all of them, but we've never had the support from the director of schools that we've gotten from Mr. Harris and this Board of Education. And just like Mayor McMillan, President Hall has raised Austin Peay to new heights. Mr. Harris and this Board of Education has done likewise. We've made great strides in recent years, and we really appreciate it. Mr. Harris, without the opportunity and certainly always fearful of showing any partiality, we decided we wanted to give you a gift tonight, but with as many high schools as we have, we didn't know which school to give you a rendering of. So in fact, what we decided to do is give you this painting of the old Clarksville High School that was painted by CHS graduate Lynn Waters Griffey, and hope that you'll hang this in a place of prominence and accept as a token of our appreciation for your years of service.
I usually have to have things written down for me, but I'll do the best I can. I want to say this. Nothing could have been a greater end to my career of 36 years in education than to be associated with Clarksville Montgomery County Schools. It's not my work, but our work always. The students, the parents, our wonderful teachers and principals, and an incredible central office staff. And I could not have had more wonderful support, and it's been a true joy to see and be a part of what goes on in Clarksville Montgomery County Schools. Thank you. And now in closing, I do want to share a quote with you that you won't hear in the 24-hour news cycle. As you know, that 24-hour news cycle goes on and on. Here it is. This is my long-run forecast in brief. The material conditions of life will continue to get better for most people in most countries most of the time indefinitely. And within a century, all nations and most of humanity will be at or above today's Western living standard. Now, a fellow named Julian Simon wrote that. He's a professor of economics. Actually, he passed away. And this is in an introduction of a book by Bjorn Lomborg on the environment. Simon was an interesting fellow who really challenged the conventional wisdom of the time. Simon's general theory, as I get it, and I may be kind of simplifying it here, is that every problem, every difficulty, every shortage calls forth something called human ingenuity. When I look out through here and see all of these wonderful students and their awards and got to shake hands with them just a moment ago, I know this room is filled with human ingenuity. And the folks that we're sending out of Clarksville, Montgomery County schools are going to be those folks who make that positive future come true. I have no doubt in it. I can listen to the news and get depressed and we can hear bad things, but the truth of the matter is, with young people like this taking the helm, we have nothing to worry about. And we ought to be very excited and proud of every one of you in here. Now, in just a short 2.5 months, another great event comes. And that's when I get to see all of you at Dunn Center. And we'll be walking across that stage. It's coming up real soon. Congratulations to all of you, and have a good evening.